All right, think about we're just about good to go. All right, that looks all right. There we go. Hey, Mike, how you doing, man? I remember when I used to finish pages in like 2 live streams tops. I think it's been a little while now. Let's thicken this up a little bit. Give it just a little bit of separation from Popo here. Oh, good stuff. What are you working on? There we go. Okay, this light is shining like in my eyes here. Hang on, let's try that. There we go. Oh, dude, the phone dipped. Can't have that. Not before Monty gets here. Let's fix that just a little bit here. Hang on. There we go. Nope. Come on, a little bit tighter than that. Which kind of puts us back where we were. Fantastic. All right. Hey, Tom, how's it going? Zero issue splash page. Are you nice? I was vomiting and surfing it. What? Do your readers hate you too? or did it just like, dude, that's so fucking awesome. That's a pretty good one, I'll give you that. Maybe I should check out what the hilt in this sword is supposed to look like. That might be an idea. If I can find the previous scans. There we go. That's not too helpful. Still not helpful. Okay, so it doesn't matter then. I'm like, oh man, I got to maintain continuity with the light, and then there's like, there's very little that's visible in previous versions of this sword. So it's like, okay, you know what? Fuck it. Doesn't matter what it is. Just draw something. Funny thing is, I really don't like this page. I don't think I like a single panel on this page so far. But if we get past this, I get to move on to another page that's probably going to be pretty tough to draw, so... Might as well just finish this here. Hey, Kapil, how's it going? Hey, Brain. Hey, Bruce. How you guys doing? Hey, that's what it takes sometimes, man. Glad if I can help out, oh well. This, like everything about this sword is wrong. This pose is wrong. This pose is wrong. This is okay. That's about it. Oh well. This is why I try to stay, like, at least a little bit, like, you know, like hold it back from my initial impression a lot of the time if something doesn't look great. When on a book that... Hey, King, how's it going? I'm not redrawing this shit. Probably. Oh, fuck that. Don't say it. I might do it. Redraw minimum 2 pages every project? Yeah. It's been a little while since I've redrawn a page, I feel like. Like, commissions get redrawn. Pages are just like, okay, no, we don't have time for that. We're cranking these things out. Try to keep that monthly mentality. Hey, Monty. Good timing. Should I draw him with hairy legs? He doesn't have hairy forearms, so probably not, right? Speak of the Monty. But yeah, like, this is why I try to take it a little bit easy off of my first impression when I'm doing some kind of commentary. Because, like, I don't know, the difference in concept and execution is always so large for me. I got to assume that it's the same for other people as well. Even if you are being, you know, like, professionally paid and all that shit. I think he just had, like, regular-ass combat boots before. Doesn't necessarily mean we have to do combat boots in this one, but what did issue 3 look like? The last splash there. That's, I feel like, what we should be going by. Oh, no, no, okay, just we did the Velcro, whatever shit. There we go. Well, I mean, Rob never redraws a page whatsoever. I mean, that's part of his deal. Rob doesn't, like, redraw a leg. Yeah. I feel like if he felt inclined to redraw anything, that would negate his greatness, right? That's the mentality. I feel like he's having to work harder these days to try and stay relevant. Like, he's just stirred up shit left and right now, it seems like. I'm not even, like, trying to follow, and his stuff keeps popping up in various feeds. He had a bit of a, not quite a meltdown exactly, but he did kind of start shitting on people on a Whatnot stream, I think, because they asked if he would ever do an absolute Batman cover. Apparently the answer is no, because he's Rob effing Liefeld. That was how he ended that particular clip. Was someone was like, "Dude, why don't you something something something?" And he's like, "Don't call me dude. I'm not your dude. I'm Rob effing Liefeld." You know. Sorry, I forgot. You got to do. If you're doing a Liefeld voice, you got to do Stephen Root out of Office Space. So it's like, "Don't call me your dude. I'm not your dude. I'm Rob effing Liefeld." Okay. It's incredible. Apparently, he's trying to get into it with Louise Simonson now. Because I guess Louise Simonson said something like New Mutants was, like, a book that was doing fine before Rob Liefeld came on. And he can't have that. Let me see if I could find that. That was a Facebook post that came up while I was doing a video, I think. I'm getting notifications for that now. I didn't intend to, but... Oh. Let's see if I can see what that... They answer too quick. Anyway, it seemed like, yeah. he was just, I don't know, Wheezy was saying how the book was doing okay. You know, it was a lower tier book maybe, but not on the verge of cancellation or anything. And he has to pipe up and be like, no, I saved that book. You know, I came on that book and it was a sinking ship. And then I started drawing cable, and in 10 issues we were at top of the charts. Yeah. It's like I've never seen a guy feel like he worked that hard to convince everybody that he deserves to be a millionaire. Although it's not really the millionaire part, I guess. It's really just more that he's important. This doesn't feel like it's helping any. I wanted to make this a little bit less of a flat expanse, but it's not doing what I was hoping it would do. It looks a bit more like a pouch now than anything. Yep, nope, that didn't do anything good. Oh well. Hell with it. See, that's the thing, because I mean, he got trained by Todd to chase the money. But the money was never really what he wanted. He wanted, I think, to be one of the biggest names in comics. And he got the money, that training paid off. But he does have a name. It's just he's not revered, and that's not good enough for him. What's going on over here? Here, let's just do that. There's some gigantic fucking thighs. Oh no. Don't say that. Now I gotta redo it. I was trying to do the bottom of the crotch shine that Liefeld does. It's that didn't work at all. Yeah, well, I mean, he wants to be a legendary creator like George Perez, right? That's who that's the guy he always wanted to be. Or Art Adams, I suppose. Where his name is just kind of spoken in hushed tones, right? And he's unimpeachable. All right, we're getting rid of this now. We'll see if this can be saved. Now it seems unlikely. Too late. I'm very, very insecure about this page. It's not going to take me much to just scrap it and start over again, right? Oh, and dip my finger in the whiteout. That's a good idea too. That could be it, man. Okay, well, for the sake of argument, Liefeld is bragging about how much 90s energy. Hey Rex, how's it going? Absolute Batman had a month. Yeah. No, I don't think he likes the idea that he needs to lock into a current trend to try and get his name out there, is what it is. You know, that was part of his rant. Like, you know, oh, what's the point of that? You know, so I can have an 8.5 hour line. Oh, what do you know? I did it already. You know. I think people just wanted to see a Rob Liefeld version of Absolute Batman. Oh yeah, no, it's a total ego thing for sure. So, out of curiosity, what would it look like if we redrew this page? Here. I'm just gonna like rough in a couple of things here. Is this dry yet? Good. Okay. This can go off. And where's my light boardy thingy? Where is it? There we go. It's fucking buried. Oops. So, let's see how this looks. Because just out of like scientific curiosity, we're not redrawing anything. We're just like indulging a theory. Would it look better if I completely redrew it? I mean, probably not, right? So there's no reason to do this. Oh, the cod piece like Sex Machine. I missed that the first time out. That isn't a bad idea. Everyone, honestly, should have a cod piece like Sex Machine from Dusk Till Dawn. I think a lot less people would argue about whether or not, you know, your Second Amendment should be a thing if it was in like revolver codpiece form. I think a lot more people get on board with that. I think women would get on board with that, honestly. Okay. Ugh, my foot's stuck. There we go. Okay, so could just be that I'm not in the mood to draw right today. That could do it too. So this is the original, which I'm not happy with. And we can alter this afterwards. Everything is so... Jesus Christ, is he ever thick. Like, these things were terrible. The fucking crossguard on the hilt. And of course the gigantic fucking area here. Hey, Comic King, how you doing, buddy? Maybe we should turn the light on. Would that help me at all? No, it would not. Okay, can I turn this up? No. No. Eh? Okay. It's a shame about this head. I like this head. In this theoretical thing where I'm redrawing this page. That isn't actually happening. Totally not happening. That should not be that low. That should be like that. There we go. Yeah, see, these proportions are like fucking awful. And this arm was so fucked up, it was crazy. Like, that should be about where the arm is, that should be about where the elbow is. I'm not even going to draw the old one. Hey, John, how's it going? Hey, man, whatever you guys want to do as long as it's consensual. Let's do the reverse with the wide open eye over here on this side. That might be a little bit more expressive. And ridiculous arms. Okay, that's pretty basic, but I think we can work from that a bit. Let's just see how it turns out. That's going to be what the bulk of this particular live stream. Oh shit! Don't you go flying anywhere. Thank you. Appreciate it. But yeah, that's probably going to be what the bulk of this particular live stream is going to be now, is seeing what a redraw on this page might look like in an alternate universe where that wouldn't happen. Hey, Robo, how you doing, man? I'll fix this in a second. Hang on. Okay, first of all, I feel like we got to give him a little bit more neck in this panel. And maybe make him just a little bit less beefy. And you know what? If we put the excess down a little bit further, maybe we can cut down on how high-waisted his jeans are. You know, the boob shelf is funny, but you do, like, having some neck in there would be nice. Don't have to have much. You might have a little bit of time to get a coffee. Yeah, it's possible. Gotta look back at some old pages for a little bit of inspiration, I suppose. Here, let's cut down on that Dracula cape a little bit. Okay, so if we do that, then that does lower the shoulder considerably, which isn't a bad thing exactly. Does mean we have to redraw the rest of the arm, of course. So that is a little problematic. Oh man, this is gonna make him coming more out of his crotch than it was before. Oh yeah, no, he's quite a bit more squat now. I don't know. Maybe I'm making further mistakes by doing this. Maybe I should just make him like a little bit smaller, because those thighs have to change for sure. Hey Roland, how's it going? Who is this? Nashville Pussy. I don't think I have much of their stuff on this mix, but there's like one or two songs. That's a bit of an easier stance, like an Addy stance. I don't mind that. It looks a little less, I don't know, scrunched. Again, right in his ear. Thanks, Roman. I appreciate that. I don't know. It's interesting looking at his early stuff these days. Because he does, I think, put more thought into some pages. Not the ones where, like, it's like talking head shit. But the action pages, I feel like he's trying. It's just that these days, it's like, I've done this so many times, I don't need to try anymore. And it's like, well, you probably should anyway, Rob. Because I feel like you don't know it quite as well as you think. Okay, what's a tricep look like from that? Honestly, I don't usually do redraws. I usually just, if it sucks, I let it stand. And I go, okay, well, that was the shitty page. Let's try and make sure the next page is good. There's very little on this page I like, though, so it's like, okay, sometimes you just gotta, like, suck it up and go, okay, now let's just try again. It's not like I'm on, like, an actual schedule for this or anything, so this is fine, I guess. Kids on TikTok are going crazy for Major Bummer? I thought about getting an issue of Major Bummer. It's the kind of thing it feels like I gotta get more than the first issue, but... Let me see here. Oh, it's not in stock whatsoever. Weird, that was in stock a minute ago. So I guess maybe they are going nuts over it. I didn't say suck it off, did I? I'm sure I meant suck it up or walk it off. If not, feel free to isolate that clip and haunt me with it for the rest of my fucking days. Hey, Biff, how's it going? You're missing, well, all you missed is that I got a little bit too frustrated with the way the page was going, so I decided that maybe a redraw was in order. This is just, we're really engaging in a thought experiment. Like, what would this page look like if I did redraw it? Would it be better? Any minute now, we'll return to reality. Maybe you should thin these arms out a little bit, because I feel like they're getting, like, beefy to the point where when I eventually return him to regular size, it's going to be upsetting. If I do it a little bit more gradually, maybe people will be okay with it more. Because I don't want him to be like super muscle dude all the time. He's actually supposed to be kind of on the leaner side. Except when he's like getting supercharged like this. Oh yeah, let's draw in some pouches early. So like, I'm less likely to forget about them later. I think I've probably been calling out Liefeld less and less for continuity errors. And probably because I do it more and more myself. Like, I'm no better than Liefeld when it comes to that shit. It is still funny and everything, but, you know. I don't want to be, like, a hypocrite. Or not about that, anyway. That'd be a lame thing to be a hypocrite about. And Burns shrunk the Buccaneer cuffs on Cyclops' boot. Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, that's I feel like that's down to artistic interpretation too. Like, I feel like whenever any artist takes over from another one, you know, it's up to them whether or not how much they want to keep from the old stuff. You know, obviously there's like a basic model you want to keep, but well, this would have been the 70s and early 80s too. This would have been the shooter times. You probably would have been a lot more strict about that shit. The thing is, when I do it, continuity errors on the same page, it's part of parody. So, I'm exempt. I've got diplomatic immunity from continuity errors. This is the comedy beat panel. Renhay the flowing boot cuffs on Cyclops. Oh, why are we getting that low on the drawing? That's no good. Would immediately fix them. Zedder suggested doing it slowly. Okay. I mean, it's smart. Did I do any background work before this? I don't think I did. No, that's a good way to do it. That's kind of, I think that's how we got to do things with Popo here, where we like slowly slim him back down, because he's kind of gotten swollen up to a ridiculous degree, as he just like absorbs all the grim and gritty energy in the atmosphere. No, I'm gonna have to fake it a little bit now. Now, get back, fucker. How much of these live streams is just me calling my ruler a fucker? I feel like it's at least like a solid 1 or 2%. Yes, exactly. No, we're too far off there. It's more like it. I'm not really letting anything else spill out from the borders on this panel here, except for the sword. Sword's the show, sure. So you better get that fucking sword right then. That might be a good idea. Oh, and yeah, we got that spilling over to the clerk head. And we should probably try and keep everything within the actual border on this one. Except we're not going to do that at all. Not for those ones. Like, this is the full bleed area, right? This second dotted line. I don't even know what the fucking dots are for, all right? I'll admit it. You think 90? Oh. I don't know. I think I've talked about some other things occasionally. Oh, we got more shit playing to Popo's crotch. That's the part which gets cut off during printing. This here? Really? I'm okay with that, I guess. So, oh, way around, eh? So this is like the full bleed area. This is where, theoretically, the gutter should be, I guess, eh? That's so much smaller than what I usually use. Historically speaking, I got you. I mean, you know, as long as the image still maintains the same proportions, which I think it does, it doesn't really matter, I guess. It's just I've seen, like, on when people do like double page spreads or, you know, wraparound covers or something like that, they link the whole thing. But then I guess in that case, you make a bit of an exception. He just goes right to the outer line. Okay, okay. Well, I mean, it's still, you got to remember when you're going to, if you ever go to print, you're the one, unless, you know, you're sending it into a publisher, you're the one who decides what the image size is, right? I like that, actually, that particular treatment. Where'd my 08 go? You? Yes, it's you. Okay, good. Rockaroni. Let's put it up to here and let's have him stand outside the line. That'll be fine. If he runs off the page, that's okay too. Oh no, we're not doing a panel border on this one. Fuck. Okay, well that'll get erased. Doesn't matter. No. Line split. There we go. Don't make me break out another 08. I got plenty. No, we're not doing that one anyway, remember? I think with the printing, it's because they're very particular, and I'm just not getting the right. Like, yeah, if I stuck within this border here, like this particular border, then it probably would have come a lot easier. But you know, that was never going to happen in this comic, where I feel like splash pages and double splashes and all sorts of tomfoolery are meant to happen on every page. Come on, fucker. That's two in one stream anyway. Sounds good, Monty. For the kind of cartoonish shots, I think we want to stick mostly with the microns. At least for the face. I feel like brush pen isn't quite as funny for that. I mean, you know, Dale Keown named his studio after it, so. I don't think I really put two and two together about what he was referring to up until now. That doesn't look quite right. Apocalypse on PS1. No, I'm not familiar with that at all. I mean, we had a PS1. Everybody had a PS1, but, well, not everybody, but, yeah, a lot of people had a PS1. It's a Neversoft Fifth Element ripoff. Okay. What else did... I feel like I know Neversoft from other stuff. Let me see if I recognize the box art. No, not really. I don't know, maybe. What else would I know Neversoft from? Skeleton Warriors? No, that wouldn't be it. Oh, Guitar Hero, fuck's sake. Oh, Guitar Hero sequels, anyway. No, I don't... MDK. I think I know him from MDK. I played that one, or I think it was actually the sequel, but which probably wouldn't have been Neversoft, but... They made the player character to reduce his lines. Yeah, okay. MDK was shiny. Okay, so maybe they just helped with some kind of back-end stuff or something. What are they saying there? Port and support work. Okay, that's what that is. Shiny was the guys who did Earthworm Jim, right? Yes, it was. Okay. What the fuck happened to Shiny? Shiny sounds like seems like they were. You know what? Knowing that Shiny did both Earthworm Jim and MDK, that totally lines up. Those are two games with very much the same kind of sense of humor. I played the shit out of Earthworm Jim when we had that. I would have played more MDK2, but I think that one was just a rental. Groovy indeed. I don't remember too much else from that. I do remember... Is it... Oh, man, I'm trying to remember some of the mini games in that, because they were fucking bonkers. Like, where you're, like, someone's throwing puppies at you, and you have to try and catch them before they splat. And, like, you can get most of them, but you're not going to get all of them, probably. Now watch that be completely not in that game. Puppy love from... Oh, good. Thank God. And I didn't make that shit up. It's like, nope. That's completely fabricated. Booger Bungee. Oh, yeah. Booger Bungee. Fuck's sake. Man, I haven't thought of Earthworm Jim in too long. Yeah, I remember the Cycro Speed Race. That got a little old, but, you know, it was okay. The Billy People Trivia Game Show and the DSM. Okay. That's on DSi. Underwater Bubble Submarine. On cow-themed cartridges. That's good shit. Here, hang on. Signal 3, yeah. Just for the sake of the stream here. There we go. EWJ versus Sard. Okay. Okay. Let's see here. Well, we can look this shit up. It's not a problem, I think we're thinking of. Is a bungee jumping battle in a canyon with a river of snot at the bottom. There we go. Confirmed. There we go. The true origin of the spawn pout was Earthworm Jim. Now accepting Earthworm Jim commissions. Like I've tried drawing Earthworm Jim in forever, but does Doug TenNapel do a lot of that? That'd be a shame. Most of Jim's creators are what the kids call problematic. Oh, really? Fuck's sake. Without the suit and without a face, so just a worm? In the same style, right? So... There we go. Okay, that just looks like I've been drawing hentai tentacles. Doug's one of those conservative hacks that got into comics game. Okay. Well, I can't imagine he'd sue somebody for drawing a commission of his beloved creation, right? Who was the guy who did the art? Because that's really all I give a shit about. Or that's the thing I give a shit about the most. Like, I'm thinking particularly of, like, the cover box art. Doug Tenaple and Dave Perry. Okay, one of those two. That's Tenaple, eh? Fuck. I like how he draws. That's a bit of a drag. It's his thing. Finally got the rights back from Play. Okay, fair enough. Did the designs of cover, but I think it was Mike Deesa did the animations. Okay. Both are pretty good. I think I'm thinking specifically of the Tenaple stuff then, though. Yeah, that's the style. That's such a great design, man. Fuck's sake. I really like the folds I came up with the first time. I'm just kind of copying off of them, really. Created rights to the game for publishing rights. Okay. Mike Diets. Okay. Not Skip Diets? Why do I know that name? Oh! That's also very, yeah. Oh, okay, that's like the more cartoony style, slightly. Yeah, I recognize that too. Man, they both kind of nailed that down, eh? Excuse me. So, let's see. Skip Diets. The name came up. Well, like, who the fuck is that? It sounds like a pseudonym. Apparently, it's somebody who wrote or drew for Marvel. Writer and former sales manager at Marvel Comics. Okay. Well, crazy or not, see, this is a good lesson, and like, you can like the guy's creations and not like the guy. You know, you can just kind of ignore the guy. History's full of people who came up with awesome shit, and the creators were assholes. You know, it is possible to separate the creator from the creation. It's not exactly what I do with Cerebus, but there's an element of that, you know? It's like I'm not going to try and justify what Dave says. Also made NFTs of his Neverhood characters. Okay. Well, I'm sure that worked out for him then. Neverhood. I don't know. I feel like I've got an image in my head. Oh, that thing. The weird Nightmare Fuel claymation duck guy. Okay. No, I don't think I ever played that really. Well, I mean, if we're talking Dave, and we're talking about crazy evangelists with a weaponized victim comp, I don't know. It's just kind of a watered down version of that, really. You know, I like Dave as much as anybody. I think that's probably literal at this point. But Yeah, no, I'm not familiar with that game at all. I gotta say. Let's make up some shoulder muscles here. Why not, eh? More shadow. More shadow casting masses. Just the most tumorous shoulders anyone has ever witnessed. Oh, I know. I've seen multiple videos out of Strange Brain Parts about Cerebus, and he doesn't seem to like talking about it that much. But I guess people want to see it, eh? I was thinking one of these days I'm going to do... Because I'm doing these supercuts now, right? Just finished the RoboCop versus Terminator supercut. I'll put that out next week. I'm thinking a Cerebus supercut needs to happen, maybe. And it'll be like 4 hours long. Because I did the first 25 fucking issues. I think I had a good time doing it, at least. So that's fine. Also, I don't think I think I approached it from like a very different approach from, or direction from where a lot of people did, where it's like, let's evaluate Dave's progress as an artist and like how he developed as a writer, as opposed to talking about his politics, you know? Hey, Arneal, how's it going? Am I part of any indie comic forums or groups? Not really. I mean, we got a Discord. If you want to check the links there in the description, there's a link tree. But no, I don't really go like for the social media shit. It would be a good idea, like for sure, for like networking and stuff. But like, man, I can't keep up with that shit. Every once in a while, I remember I have like an Instagram page or a Facebook page. That's about as much as I can muster. Hard to follow. Yeah. Oh yeah. I thought you were a jerk. That's right. Yeah, Roland. Yeah. I'm never gonna remember who's a knuckle jerk guy, who's not. I guess. Yeah, that was great when he was fucking shouting me. Like he was like retweeting all or reposting all my shit, or sharing links out. That was awesome. And some of us I don't think deserve the praise he was heaping on him, but that's okay. I was gonna take it. My own indie was thinking maybe trying to get indies together and talk. Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, I'd love to take part in something like that. I know I probably, like knowing me, I'll forget, and then I'll check in like like a month later or something, and then like like I check in on the Discord only because my name's on it, mostly. And I try to keep up with it, but like if my name wasn't on it, I'd never go in there again. I'm on like a few Discords and I never stop in them. Stuff is when is actually seeing their actions, and later on he turns them into objects. Arguable. It's not about objects for him. It's about traditional roles, right? Well, that's the thing, right? I probably should check it if my name's on it. You know, I should. If there's one person commenting on that channel, it should be me. You know, if everybody else has left, I should still be there, theoretically. Although if everybody else has left, I can finally go, oh, thank God, and just like switch it off and pretend it never happened. You know, just like this drain on my social resources. I can finally switch it off. Strawman is now. There you go. There you go. That's true. All right. Fair enough. Okay, let's figure out some of these muscles here. What am I? Well, let's figure them out up here, and then we can just like transplant them. I think Dave realized that he was, you know, well, he was getting a bit of a voice, and he wanted to say things, and part of what he wanted to say was about women, and it was getting more and more apparent in his fiction. And it, you know, probably spilled over into his day-to-day life. You gotta remember the time that he was doing it too was in the 80s, so like when feminism was swinging into high gear, right? So for a guy who was raised in the 50s and 60s, it might have been tough coming to terms with it. I don't know. Didn't have difficulty coming to terms with the drug culture, but well, if you're talking just about like level of obviousness, yeah, there's probably better parallels you could make than Bill Cosby, but let's see here. What are the tricep muscles and what can I fit around them? There's not much. Okay. Yeah. It's very basic muscles. It looks a little bit like the fucking brain alien in Starship Troopers. Oh, what are we down to? We're people, just not everybody's feeling talkative right now. We got a few people talking still. You know, hey, just let you take the lead, man. You don't always. Okay, but Biff and Monty will space in and out, much like you usually do. No, that's not the... Let's just throw in some extra shapes. Okay, you know what we should be looking at for tricep reference? There should really only be one source. And that is Lobo's back number 2. Doesn't help me a whole lot. Okay, well, hang on. Okay, maybe this is just more of a mass, yeah. And we'll tuck in some like tendons or something around it. That's another one I want to do a supercut on eventually, is Lobo's back. After the Lobo mini-series video that gets done, I think that'll be the 8,000 subscriber special, which ought to come up in a couple of weeks. Okay, but there's Simon Bisley references, man. They're not exactly, you know, it's not like live model drawing or anything, you know? We're taken from one of the more exaggerated resources possible, and seeing if we can exaggerate it further. No, that's gross. Okay, good to know about that guy, I guess. I'm not familiar with that one. Reference the old page. I've been doing that this whole time, man. All these folds are basically the same as the other folds, it's just like maybe a little bit deeper shadow. A little bit more design heavy. More of the Cosby comics and Sim, especially. Okay. Yeah, that's a little gross, for sure. I mean, that's one thing about Dave, at least. Never heard any of him, like, abusing a position of power exactly. Well, not exactly. Yeah, that's a can of worms I don't want to open. He did. So let's leave it there and ignore anything leading up to that, I guess. Slightly anime-looking hair. Not too bad, though. John Gamer, don't like it. Ooh. John K. Who's John K? I feel like I know who John K is. It's not the Ren and Stimpy guy, is it? Oh, fuck, it is the Ren and Stimpy guy. Shit. Alright, now that's a drag. That's just kind of the theme today, is just like awful creators, eh? Oh well. And Dave Sim, who's, you know, I think problematic at worst. Okay, I gotcha. Where's the 08 at? Let's just take this right off the page. Yoink. The Dark of the Moon Voyager plus Megatron. Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't need to know that, Roland. Oh well. It's the Megatron turns into a Mad Max truck. Okay, that's kind of sick. I mean, if you're just displaying the truck, chances are you don't need the head, right? Depends on how much you paid for it, I guess. $15, like that's not the worst thing. I don't know how much one of those would usually run for, but it sounds, I imagine, quite a bit more. Okay, now we get to redraw this fucking thing. The giant Clerg head. I guess you could get some like splatter or something on the head too, right? That'd be a good idea. I didn't. I don't know if I did watch Dark of the Moon. Was that the third or the second one? I don't know. You know what? I think both the third and second ones I fell asleep in the middle of anyway, so it wouldn't really matter. I can remember pretty much everything that happened in the first one because that was cool to see. Was all these very, like these live action Transformer things that were kind of like Transformers. Potential was set up by parents mixed marketing. Okay. I mean, I like Transformers 1 okay. I felt like it I don't know. It didn't quite do what it could have, but there was some interesting stuff in there. I'm not sure why we couldn't have RC in that movie, but whatever. Like, why couldn't that be the Scarlett Johansson character? With spy thriller with Laserbeak and had the dark side of the okay. Ironhide in the back, it becomes a warm. Okay. Sentinel Prime. Is that the Leonard Nimoy character? Is that one? Because that is one I definitely fell asleep early for. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I wanted to watch it, but it's like, oh, the second one I watched a bit more of at least. I can't remember a whole lot of it, but I do remember Destructicon having fucking wrecking ball testicles. And the farting SR-71. And the leg humping RC car. Man, those Michael Bay movies, those are just class. Didn't I say Devastator? Did I say the wrong name? Fuck. I must not have been paying attention. That's what happens when you try and draw and talk at the same time. Dude, what the fucking hell? Yeah. Jetfire, Assfire, whatever his name was. Didn't matter. As soon as you had him farting out a parachute, that was not a character any kid ever wanted to have a toy of. So, character name doesn't matter. Macross is Robotech Valkyrie. Okay. What did Jetfire look like? Oh yeah, no, that is very kind of anime looking, isn't it? See, I only had Thundercracker when I was a kid. Which was, you know, the Starscream repaint, unfortunately. In much less interesting colors. Let's get some splatter on here. If I remember this, I get a Robotech toy. That sounds about right for you. Competitor's line, Jetfire was heavily modified for the cartoon. Okay, okay. See, I never saw the Jetfire toy, I don't think. I didn't see a lot of Transformers toys in person. Like, I get the odd one until, like, you know, maybe like 88 or so, but that makes sense. I think I remember seeing a kid, like I said, I had Thundercracker, my brother had Starscream, so he lucked out on that one. I don't remember having much else, really. I remember seeing kids have, like, Jazz. I remember some kid having an Optimus Prime with, like, the full trailer and everything. Or somebody having one of the, it wasn't Astro Train, it was the other one. Triple Changers, I think they were, right? Is it Blitzwing? Maybe. That's worse than more Oh, nice. No, I don't watch any Transformers cartoons. I mean, you know, I watched the Transformers 1 thing when, like, my grandkids were over. Yeah. It's like, that'll keep busy. And I was like, yeah, you know what? That movie was okay for a keep him busy kind of movie. Eat the shit out of Land Before Time 2, which is what my daughter was into when she was a kid. Play that shit on fucking loop. Oh, there you go. More than meets the eye. We're in theme today. Okay, cool. That's always interesting. So the Manny faces of the Transformers then. Yeah, no, didn't see a lot of in person though myself. Then even said possibly even depending on the face. Oh, okay, well that's a little less interesting. Did they tease a G.I. Joe and Transformer movie? Oh, Jesus Christ, okay. Well, I guess, you know, both Hasbro, why not, right? Carnage, another's just Arnie, another one is a Nazi scientist. Okay, fair enough. Although Swindle is not a part of the combiner, so okay, fair enough. Oh, got a little bit of blood dripping off of lizard thing's nose, which makes me think Rancor. Oh, have I decided to redraw the page? Indeterminate yet because we haven't yet reached the level of completion that we had on the old page. So, it's still a work in progress. We still could theoretically return. Yeah, that's not happening. This one's already a bit more interesting to me. If only because, like, I can fix stuff that I didn't like in the last one. G1 crossover, G.I. Joe crossover has been officially in development hell since the Channing Tatum days. That was a while back. What was that, 2006, 2007? Well, let's not jump to conclusions, brain, you know. We don't want to jump the gun on this. This is extremely scientific work that we're doing here. You can't rush the process, right? Okay, we'll see if this works. I'm not very good at drawing blood splatters. I'll tell you. I gotta say that. But maybe a smaller pen here. Like an O2. There's some really fine lines going on here. Let's see here. Yeah. Well, this is particularly difficult because it's trying to get kind of a thick blood look on alien scales, right? I think we can assume that the alien blood is green. So I kind of want it to stand out a little bit. That's not going to help too much. So I don't think a dirty brush is going to help in this case. I want it to be light against dark. Of course, I might just be wanting unreasonable things too, but, you know, that couldn't be the case, so we're just going to discount that entirely. All right, but it has been 2 hours, so I'm going to grab a quick smoke. That in the line? In line? Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. Boop. There, we'll put it there. There. Okay. Yeah, feel free, right. Let me know how that went when I get back. Oh, let's plug it in while I'm gone, too, actually. Yeah. Forgot how to do this. What the fuck? There we go. All right. Be right back. Okay, be right there. All right. I feel like the motion on this sword and this panel is actually better too. Honestly, I went like almost a year without even showing a Liefeld video on my channel because I was getting sick of beating up on the guy. And I mean, even beating up is like not the best way to phrase that because it's like it's very one-sided where like I'm just some guy talking. And then I kind of clued in, you know what? People watch a lot more when it's a Liefeld video. So it's like, maybe it's worth going back to, right? And now it's like, you know, if a week goes by without a Rob Liefeld video, it's like, okay, that'll be a nice little break. I've been building up a supply. Depends on what you mean by as bad, I think. I think there's stuff he does well when it comes to drawing, here and there, and I'll usually point it out if I see it. He's got some interesting ideas for... Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. It's still fun to point out the stuff that's wrong. A lot of it comes down to lack of effort for me with Liefeld. Because he does seem to have slipped into a, I've been doing this for 30 years kind of thing. I can do this pose in my sleep, and then he doesn't try, and it's very evident. To me, anyway. Oh, I mean, I don't mind the Captain America chest. I think that was hilarious. I don't know if you saw well, probably not. This is pretty limited, but there was I remember somebody commenting on, because Liefeld did a, I had to get something off my chest post on Facebook. So it's like, oh, he's making fun of it. That's good stuff, and I think I like that. And then somebody was like, oh, it's good that you can poke fun at yourself for this. And he immediately went off. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not making fun of anything. I'm pointing out a legacy of success. Go take your hate somewhere else. And this is like a Liefeld fan. It's like, what? 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 You started this shit. It's like, don't ever dare suggest that Liefeld has not been successful. Or like even, say that his work is anything other than incredible. Like, not to his face, because he'll shut you down. And like, block you from whatever he's on at that time. It can be a bit sensitive. Okay. I have never seen a more fragile ego on a guy that high profile, I think. It's crazy. That's the other thing that bugs me, is just how much of a dick he is online. And not just to people that, rip on his stuff. Like, I can kind of get that. It's petty, and it's like, you should be kind of above that, theoretically. But I haven't been subjected to the kind of scrutiny that Liefeld has, where people are just ripping on his shit constantly, right? So, again, I can kind of get that. It's when he goes after people who like back him, but they don't phrase it in a way that's glowing enough, and he just shits all over them. Hey Mark, how's it going? So that's the thing, if it was just about him being a bad artist, I feel like I'd let it go, because there's a million bad artists. And, every once in a while it's fun to laugh at a little bit, but then you move on. And, like, it gets old real quick. It's just the fact that he, like, I don't know. There's a lot that that rubs me the wrong way about Liefeld. Up to 152 in your Uncanny X-Men reread. All right. Almost at the Paul Smith era. Good shit. And I won't lie, I find the history of his business dealings absolutely fascinating. Again, not even really shitting on the guy on that one, just like the, I don't know, the path of Youngblood, where he had to essentially use it as collateral to try and get Awesome Comics up and running, and then, lost it because of that. And ever since, he's been trying to come up with a reinterpretation of the property to try and appease Scott Rosenberg, who's the guy who owns Youngblood, and get him to let him publish something again. Twitter gives everyone a voice and lets them cook. Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, if we didn't have social media, I feel like I would have very little problem with Rob Liefeld. It's a guy who just should not have that, really. It doesn't do him any favors. And yeah, no, by Arneil, by any means, like, I got no problem with anybody digging Liefeld. Lots of people dig Liefeld. I think we got a few more in this room, or this live stream, but it's totally fine. There's guys like, there's other guys that people dig that I'm like, really, that guy? Okay. And, it's like, taste is subjective. I got unjustifiable tastes as well. Oh, the business dealings. There's all sorts of shit. Okay. Let's see. Well, okay, we all know in 1996, Liefeld was kicked out of Image, right? 1996, 1997. For trying to poach the talent of other houses, like, Top Cow in particular, and for misappropriating funds. In that he was branching off, forming Maximum Press, but using some Image resources to do it. So, like, basically getting his, while he was president of the company, I believe, CEO, something like that. So using company funds to fund a competitor. That was the point, right? And like Todd McFarlane in particular had a problem with Rob at that point, where he never really had before, which I understand is because I've been told since it's because Rob asked Todd to look into doing some Youngblood toys through his Todd Toys brand, back because that was what it was back then. And then Todd found out after the fact that Rob was getting other models done by other companies. So again, using his thing to compete against his Image peers, right? And that hit Todd kind of hard, apparently, because he spent the next 5 years trying to destroy Rob. It was fucked up. So at that point, Liefeld decided to become completely independent because, he didn't have it was either that or go back to Marvel or whatever, right? And he'd already kind of recently burned bridges at Marvel with Heroes Reborn, which from what I understand is down to maybe Marvel trying to renegotiate their contract because they were going through bankruptcy at the time, or, staring down the barrel of it. And Rob took it personally, because Rob takes everything personally. and yeah, kind of threw a fit. And you know, it was mutual in that both people wouldn't work with the other after that, right? So he didn't have much choice, I suppose, other than to just go pure independent. Although, you know, as far as the artists deciding to go independent, there are far worse positions to be in than Rob Liefeld was in 1997. You know, he had a name, he had recognizable properties, he had established artists, kinda. Yeah, he had a couple, for sure. He had a relationship with printers, publishers, dealers, you know, like retailers, etc. So, like, he was in a pretty good spot, really. And he had Alan Moore. There was that, too. But he didn't have the capital to start up his own business on its own, because it's more than just, like, you know, like, undoubtedly Rob had a whole lot of money from the Youngblood days. But it takes a lot. Like, if we're talking about printing, like, cost of running fees just for keeping the business going, plus staff, plus marketing, there's a lot more to it than just, you know, like, if you want to print on a wide scale, there's a lot more to it than just, I'm going to take my books to the printer and then I'll buy an ad in whatever the Diamond distribution thing was. So he needed outside money. So he ended up talking to Scott Rosenberg, who used to be the guy who used to own Malibu, and eventually sold it to Marvel. He was more of a producer at that point in '97, from what I understand. And Scott Rosenberg agreed to be a temporary money guy, until Rob could secure a more firm story. And so, like, he agreed to do it, but he was going to need some collateral in order to fund this venture that Rob wanted to do. And, you know, I'm sure Rob was all making explosion noises while he was pitching it to him, right? Like, if there's one thing Rob has worked on over the years, it's how to pitch something. So Rob had to use the rights to Youngblood as collateral for Scott Rosenberg to fund Awesome Entertainment. You know, I think Rob still maintained some part ownership in terms of, like, publication rights, or no, I think it was just royalties, actually. And Scott Rosenberg had to hold on to all of them. The idea was eventually Awesome Entertainment would make enough money that he could just buy the rights back, or, you know, the project would become successful enough that Scott Rosenberg could walk away, you know, having fulfilled his part of the bargain, you know, getting all his money back, etc. The problem, of course, was that this was 97, 98, 99, etc., when the market was absolutely crashing. And Rob wasn't getting the kind of numbers, I'm sure, that he wanted. Like, it was kind of rare for him to get, like, 30, 40,000 copies on an issue, as opposed to the old days when he was bragging about, you know, selling 1 million copies of Youngblood, etc. Where was I? Let's see. Rob was eventually able to secure a guy. I don't remember his name now. I mentioned it in a video somewhere. I think it was probably for the last Youngblood. I think so. Who, again, was like a Hollywood executive, but was willing to get on board. But he was more of like an old school money guy. And he saw the business model that Rob had going on, where he was pumping in all sorts of money to production and to maybe specifically to talent, because he was paying Alan Moore $10,000 a script for 3 scripts a week. and the money that the books were making were not justifying those expenditures. And, you know, going like all chromium on the covers on some of them, you know, just like shelling out. And he had like recommendations or like maybe even requirements for what was going to have to change if he was going to come on board, or, well, you know, once he was on board. And I mean, at that point, Scott Rosenberg was still involved in the picture, and he didn't like the direction that this new guy was taking. And he eventually decided to cut bait and walk away. And Awesome Entertainment had to dissolve because the other guy walked away too. And when Scott Rosenberg walked away, he walked away with the rights to Youngblood because that had never been resolved. And ever since then, Rob has never had the rights to Youngblood. He's licensed it from Scott Rosenberg. He pays a licensing fee every time he wants to do a Youngblood comic. That's why we haven't gotten very many over the years. And it feels like every time he puts out a new comic, it's him trying to sell Scott Rosenberg that, okay, this time it's going to work. We've got a whole new model, or we've got a new gimmick, or we've got a new creative team that's really going to put us on the map. And it doesn't really do it. Like the first one after Awesome Entertainment, I think would have been Arcade Comics. With like Youngblood Bloodsport, Youngblood Imperial. No, it wasn't Imperial. Yeah, Youngblood Imperial, Youngblood Genesis. And for that, they had a new business model in that they were going to try and get around the distributors altogether. They were going to try and sell directly to the retailers. So they were taking it around to cons. Hey, Jose, how's it going? Not so much. In fact, we're just in the middle of talking about the history of Youngblood and how it turned into a complete clusterfuck. I don't know if you want to stick around for that, but yeah, the business model for Arcade Comics was to go around to conventions and ring up dealers directly and try to sell straight to them, which is why you can't find information about them in Comic-Con because they weren't using Diamond. And even then, I don't think there are very many copies of most of those comics. Next one would have been the Youngblood trade paperback with, what's his name? Joe Casey. Leading to the 2008 new series. Which I believe was put out by Image. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure. Let me just take a quick look and check that. 2008 was Image, yes. So that was him working with Eric Stevenson. Eric Stevenson was a guy who worked with Rob Liefeld for years at Extreme Studios as a writer and editor, etc. Oh, cool. I'm glad you watch the channel too. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. But Eric Stevenson had built up to being the editor-in-chief at Image. Or maybe even, I'm not sure, he might have a bigger title than that even. And it feels like since he got that position, he's been working to try and get Rob back in the limelight. And yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. 2008, he brought in Joe Casey. They did the whole rewrite on Youngblood. And did the trade paperback that would eventually lead to Youngblood Deluxe. But and that was an interesting book. That was okay. It was much more modern, you know, for the 2000s. A lot more clean line style. Not really a Youngblood thing, but that's fine. And that got fucked up because, you know, Rob was going okay, with having Joe Casey work on it on his own for a while, but eventually he decided he wanted to get in on the trend of featuring Barack Obama on the cover because that was boosting sales on things. So he wrote up a sequence where Barack Obama comes into things, gets involved, and disbands Youngblood, I think. And it completely fucked with whatever continuity Joe Casey was trying to develop, and he walked off the book. And eventually did a parody of Youngblood stuff with Blood Squad 7, which I haven't really looked at, but you know, so I guess I was a pretty recent one, I think, just last couple of years. So maybe still some hard feelings there. I don't know. And that was it for Youngblood for a couple more years until the 2012 relaunch. This was, of course, the 20th anniversary of Image. Eric Stevenson wanted to get Rob Liefeld involved in some way. I can see the numbers dwindling on people watching. So I don't know if anybody's listening at this point, but that's okay. But yeah, he wanted Rob involved in some way. He wanted a Youngblood project, but you know, they were going to have to sell Scott Rosenberg. Oh, hey, Arnell. Good. Okay, good. Glad to hear it. They were going to have to sell Scott Rosenberg because, you know, we tried this a couple of times at this point and hadn't really turned into numbers. So 2012 was all about redoing Extreme Studios as like indie books because that was what was selling at the time. You know, you think of like, that's particularly what Image was selling at the time. You think of Walking Dead and Saga. And the other part of that is that that's what was getting licensed into movie deals again, and TV shows. Again, Walking Dead. You think Scott Pilgrim versus the World. There was at least another example. I don't remember off the top of my head now, surprisingly. But, you know, that seemed to be the direction that licensing for Hollywood was going. That's okay. I'm gonna keep going for now. So yeah, they rebranded all of the remaining Extreme properties, which was Glory, Prophet, Bloodstrike, Youngblood. They were able to convince Scott Rosenberg on that, and one more, Supreme. That was less of a rebrand, but you know. And none of those books sold. They were very interesting, and they got a lot of critical acclaim. But like, because they took the characters in completely different directions. But they did not sell like floppies at all. Rob Liefeld will still say it was a success because, for one thing, there are trade collections. You know, so I mean, that's, you know, you can go down to a bookstore and buy a copy of Prophet, you know, whatever storyline. I don't know what the storylines were called. But, you know, that's still in circulation. For another thing, it kind of refreshed the IP for licensing because that has kind of been Rob Liefeld's big business since around, the 2000s, I think. Well, I mean, you know, he's been trying to license since before that, but that's when it's really become a main factor. Is selling licensing deals to Hollywood for movies, for cartoons, for toys, etc. They don't turn into anything usually, but that doesn't matter to Rob because he still gets that licensing fee, and that licensing fee is usually at least 6 figures, maybe more like 7. So, like, you know, like, it's funny because I looked up who are the most wealthy comic book creators. And, you know, I think number 1 is Todd. But, like, you know, Rob's on the list. But it's not for creating comics. It's for licensing deals. So yeah, no, and I mean, I'm sure those 2012 rebrands. No, I don't think they're close to the top. I mean, this was 14 years ago that these would have come out, right? I think you can still get them, but it's more the fact that they're there, they exist. And again, the bigger deal is the fact that it refreshed the IP. It kind of washed off the extreme thing. Conan. So Prophet isn't really just extreme Captain America anymore. Now, the most recent version of Prophet is a cross between Conan and John Carter of Mars. Glory isn't, dishy extreme Wonder Woman. She's alien barbarian. There's vast differences in the characters from what they used to be. So that gets Hollywood taking another look and maybe cutting Rob another 7-figure check. And and that leads to the 2019 Netflix deal where I'm sure everybody remembers, Rob licensed his extreme characters to Netflix for a massive deal. I think that was something like 10 million or something. I don't even know exactly what the number was, so I shouldn't speculate. But it was a huge amount, and nothing happened with it. That deal has now expired. But it doesn't matter to Rob because Rob pocketed that cash, right? And since 2012, there was the 2017 relaunch on Youngblood as well. And on that one, again, it was a much more modern look. Again, clean line, kind of looked a bit like Chris Sprouse, that kind of thing. Wasn't a bad book at all, and maybe more importantly, had a gimmick where there was an app called Help, where you would ask for superhero help, and then once they helped, you rated them, and which is a fun idea for sure. And I think that's what sold Scott Rosenberg that time. Again, it didn't sell very much. It was probably one of the higher profile things that Rob's done in a little while. And I'm sure that Rob hasn't been a fan of all these updated versions of Blood over the years, but it doesn't matter because it's not like he has an original vision with it exactly, or that it's more just how can we make Youngblood relevant again? How can I get my name back out there? That kind of thing. I would like to see Bad Rob. There's it's AI, so I don't know how strongly you feel about AI. There's an AI generated trailer for Youngblood out there that looks kind of good, really. It's fuck, man. Don't make me recant anything here. I think Bad Rock has a beard in that too, a rock beard. It's kind of a cool look. Anyway, I think what we've learned from all of these attempts to rebrand Youngblood in different ways, to try and make it relevant again, to try and recapture the success of the 90s. I mean, first of all, that's just never going to happen. The market isn't in a place to do that again, ever again. Not on that kind of scale where you're selling literally 1 million copies per issue. And I think it took Rob a while to realize that. The second thing I think we learned is that Youngblood only works when Rob Liefeld is doing it. While it has been around for 32 years, 32, where'd I get that number from? 34? I think it's 34. It is not time-honored. There have been so many different versions, and all of them have lasted for so few issues that there's the only version of Youngblood anybody really remembers is the original, I would say. That's what you think of when you think Youngblood. So that must have been the new selling point in 2025 when Rob licensed Youngblood yet again from Scott Rosenberg, saying, okay, you know what, we're not fucking around anymore. I'm just going to do the book. I'm going to write it. I'm going to draw it like I've been doing with Snake Eyes, with, you know, all the stuff he's been doing on the side since then. And that's what's going to bring people in this time, is the fact that it's actually Rob doing it. And I think he's right on that. You know, I don't think that Youngblood has any cachet outside of when Rob Liefeld is writing or drawing it. Oh, no, for sure. Youngblood is the first Image comic. I mean, if you ask Rob, he'll say that was a mistake because he rushed to get it out to be first. And he's hated how it turned out ever since, right? Like, he hates the script. He hates the plot or the lack thereof. But, you know, he was young and he had a chance to be the first guy, so he did it. You know? He does have a dedicated fan base, absolutely. No, I think it's shrinking over the years, but it doesn't matter because the guys who do stick by him will buy literally anything Rob puts his name on. And they will back him, like, to the hilt every single time. If you say anything, like, you don't even have to be insulting to Rob. If you point out shit that he does wrong, they're gonna come for you. Assuming that you reach enough people that a Liefeld fan notices. And that's fine. I'd say let them. Because there hasn't been a Liefeld fan come after. There have been a few Liefeld fans come after me, and I'm like, bring it, because there hasn't been a Liefeld fan come after me yet that I can't come up with a comeback for. I think a lot of it comes down to I don't stick to the same thing when I'm critiquing Liefeld books. I don't have my tropes I go to, really. I'm going off of what I see every time. You know, I almost never point out feet because Rob not being able to draw feet is kind of a given. It's not worth mentioning usually. I don't point out that, you know, fuck, I don't know where I was going with that. There's all sorts of stuff that Rob is known for that I don't bother talking about because it's old news. And I figure if we're just going to repeat the same things about Rob over and over, that gets boring quick. That's why I like the fact that we keep going through different issues. Like, you know, I've never redone the same issue twice. I might change that with Youngblood #1, but you know, if we're always looking at a new issue like that we haven't done before, then I'm noticing stuff for the first time every time. Really, it's stuff that he does fairly often, sure, but it's relevant because it's there on the page. Yeah, no, I mean, everybody knows that the standard thing with, you know, like the bendy spines on the women, the Rob can't draw feet. I mean, I don't even want to say Rob can't draw feet because, like, so what? You know, lots of artists have difficulty with feet. Jim Lee has difficulty with feet, and he'll hide them. Okay, that's interesting. The thing about the video game industry. I guess the thing that's interesting with Rob is that it is strange for comic. You know? And it's not something I don't know, like, he tries to shoot people down when they want to, I don't know, like besmirch his legacy, but it's like, dude, your legacy is problematic at best. Yeah, no, you know, feet and hands are tough to draw for sure. A lot of people develop like a shorthand, and you're just like you expect to see that version, that person's version of a foot again and again and again. Art Adams' feet are weird. You know, he's the one who came up with the diamond feet, where somebody's leaping and, you know, there's the calf coming down, there's the ankle, and whoop, there's a foot. Sure, Art, that's what that is, absolutely. But you know, if you draw it over and over again, it just becomes your style. Rob draws, he often draws something like that because he rips off a lot from Art Adams. And if he has to draw anything in a position he's not familiar with, he's probably going to fuck it up. But he doesn't shy away from that anymore, I don't think. He has no problem drawing feet these days. The difficulty he has that involves feet is in drawing people on the same plane. Okay, let's... I agree with you on that one, Mark. Some people only have 2 or 3 good ideas. Not everyone is Jack Kirby. The thing is, Rob sells himself like he's Jack Kirby. Where is it? Okay. Let's break it up. Youngblood #1 cover, right? Now, one of the more obvious things that's fun to poke at is the fact that Rob drew the curvature of the Earth, which is something I said 4 fucking years ago when I first did a video on this issue. Drew the curvature of the Earth to cover the feet. Like, it is funny. He didn't do it so that he wouldn't have to draw feet. The reason he did it was because Rob doesn't do an underdrawing and he doesn't progress through the stages of a drawing properly. Because he never really learned fundamentals. I think he'd tell you that as well as anybody, right? So when he drew the cover for Youngblood #1, you can see the progression he made, which is he drew Shaft first. Shaft is the leader, Shaft is the coolest, and he had a cool pose in mind for him. Probably should have drawn him a little bit closer to the middle of the page, but then again, he did want to leave room for Bad Rocks and the title and everything, so that's all fine. Then drew Die Hard and Vogue, and drew them a little bit, suggesting that it was in a top-down view, right? Like a bird's eye view, a little bit. Then had to draw Chapel and Combat, and drew them over the shoulders here, but drew them over the shoulders like he was looking straight on at Shaft. Kind of lost track of it a little bit. And got down here, well, you know, down to the feet here and went, oh fuck, wait a minute. If I do it like this, first of all, these 3 in the front kind of look like they're in a top-down view. I should be drawing feet for Die Hard and for Vogue at least. Combat and Chapel's feet stretch down below the cover. Like, if we're just looking at... Yeah, let go. If we're just looking at Combat, like here, there's... This is Shaft's foot here, let's say, right? This one is barely even coming down there. Combat's foot is like down here. Same with this one. This is a knee pad. There's Chapel's thigh and the knee. So we can, again, establish that the feet are somewhere down here probably. Oh, there it is. Meanwhile, again, these are Chapel's feet. Die Hard's feet are up here. So it's that he can't match them up on the same plane because he doesn't do an underdrawing. He doesn't work out, he has no idea how perspective works, never has actively avoided learning how to draw perspective because he's worried that if he learns how to draw, you know, fundamentals better, that he'll lose whatever it is that keeps getting people buying his shit. You know, so he doesn't have the tools he needs to do a cover properly. So he has to just fake it with stuff like covering up the all the feet. You look at Extreme Sacrifice, number 1, I think. See, now we're getting into the fucking nuts and bolts of it, right? This might be a 4-hour stream now. Where's my Extreme Sacrifice? Where are you? Extreme Sacrifice number 1. There we go. Just from the front cover. No, for sure. But this is why, I'm just saying this is why Rob doesn't draw feet. It's not because he's afraid of drawing feet or he can't draw feet. He'll draw feet anyway. It doesn't matter. It's because he doesn't have the fundamentals. So, Extreme Sacrifice, cover number 2. Cover number 1. No, this is number 2. My bad. Kind of exemplifies it. Rob wanted a big, cool shot. This is back when Rob was drawing legs like a mile long. Again, I think largely to try and match up the feet, and he couldn't quite manage it on this one here. Because he wanted Prophet to be absolutely massive, drew him back here, drew Shaft's foot, and couldn't get it to meet, even though Shaft is naturally meant to be standing in front of Prophet. So it does look like he's standing on Prophet's foot, and Prophet might be a little bit into it. You know, what I'm saying is the things people go after Rob for are boring and often uninformed. If you actually look at it, it's a much, you know, it's a much more interesting difficulty, I suppose, that he has. That's fair. Honestly, I do the same thing to an extent, and like, you know, like I'll try and I think the difference between you and me probably is that we'll sit and try and work the figures until they work. Sometimes, you know, it doesn't matter. It still ends up with fucked up perspective. And that's going to happen. Rob doesn't do that. Rob does one drawing and goes, okay, let's go. And if it's fucked up, he's like, that's okay. People still buy that shit. Anyway. Wow, that was like an hour. Yeah, I've completely forgotten what the original points were I was going to make at this point, which is fine. That was a fun hour. It was a long one. I don't usually do that. This is the thing. You bring him up, and I'm just gonna go off. Where's the essence? Oh, come on. There we go. Another example. Because you can't stop at just 5 or whatever, right? It is, you know? I might be avoiding the redraw a little bit. Snake Eyes Dead Game, number 1. Last page of the thing. Again, this gets back to laziness, in my opinion. Oh, sorry. This whole series is extremely lazy, but that aside. How much do we want to bet Roadblock's legs stretch down further than Snake Eyes in this shot? You know? Pretty likely, right? These guys stretching or being shorter, I'm not even sure if they would be. I think he might draw Scarlet's legs longer than Snake Eyes is here. But like Roadblock's knees come down off the bottom of the page. Snake Eyes not so much. Roadblock does have a little bit of Captain America chest to him. I gotta think that Rob was thinking about referencing that directly and then went, nah, we don't need to do that. So, you know, again, it's just more, it's not that he has stylistic flaws. Everybody has stylistic flaws. Will Portacio defined style as flaws just repeat. Right? Because otherwise we'd all be drawing photorealistic. I got no problem with people having flaws. It's lack of understanding of art fundamentals. Yeah, no, Portacio has huge flaws, and I think he'd be the first to say it. I think he was the first to say it. But that was his take on it, was flaws are just mistakes that show up consistently in your work, and I don't think he's actually wrong on that. Or sorry, style is just mistakes that show up repeatedly in your work. That's fine. I liked Portacio better. I mean, I was reading him on X Factor, and that was some mind-blowing shit. Honestly, I don't think anything he's done has really matched X Factor for me personally, at least. You know, the stuff he did on Canny later didn't really grab me. Wetworks, I felt like he kind of eased off a bit. I mean, you know, he had reasons to not be as into it at that point, unfortunately, but... And these days, you really can't even, like, call out Wills for how his style looks, because he's had to completely relearn how to draw, essentially. Because he had a stroke a while back, and, yeah, had to, like, figure it out again. You know, was able to get most of it back, but not all of it by any means. I think woke up from having been in a coma for a few days or something. Or was it a stroke or diabetic coma? I don't remember exactly. That's the thing, you know, like... If I say, like, Wills' stuff doesn't look nearly as good as it did 30 years ago, it's like, yeah, Wills has excuses that most artists don't have, you know? You'd be the greatest artist, but if you can't even last 10 issues on anything, I lose interest. I get that. I mean, it's tough because, man, those X Factor issues were some of the best looking things I'd ever seen. Same with Jim Lee on Uncanny. I'd say, you know, the line you're saying there, you can be the greatest artist ever, but if you can't even last 10 issues on anything, I lose interest. Uh-huh. That's a good example. And, I mean, couldn't maintain the high point of his quality either, which, you know, to be fair, wasn't a fair expectation because he wasn't the only one coming up with that style. That was, I'm thinking specifically of Uncanny X-Men number 274 through 278, which is, I think, the best Jim Lee has ever drawn. But he drew it in concert with Homage Studios, with Will Portacio and Scott Williams. And every page, you know, somebody's doing breakdowns, somebody's doing finishes, someone's doing inks. And it's not the same three guys every time. Like, it's not, they're not doing the same roles every time. And it resulted in some of the best looking comics, again, I've ever seen. And it never really, for Jim, for me, it never got back to that. Not even close. Okay, maybe close on X-Men number 1. That was Jim making a statement, and that was Jim making a portfolio to resell, basically stock up the most valuable images possible, leading into him breaking away from Marvel. Maybe not Uncanny or X-Men #1 specifically for that. I think at least on that first one, he was thinking just, yeah, I get my own book. We're gonna, and I'm gonna make some extremely valuable pages here. I'm sure that was part of it, but I think later X-Men issues, the adjectiveless X-Men, he was specifically thinking about stockpiling splash pages and anchor images to use as like a reserve in case Image Comics didn't do anything. And of course they were all afraid that Marvel wouldn't take them back if it failed, right? That they wouldn't be able to get work anymore. So they, Jim's a practical guy, particularly when it comes to money. And he needed a safety net. So that net was all sorts of splashes and, pumping out a bunch of pages real quick. They did take Jim back for Heroes Reborn. That was also 4 years later. But I'm talking like the Image guys thought that once they had broken away, and Todd made such a fucking stink about, they were being screwed over and yada, yada, yada. A lot of the Image guys thought, like, this better work, or I might be out of, I might have to be an independent publisher, like an independent creator. Or, like, I'll never command my old salary, or, maybe Marvel just won't ever take me back. Who knows? Like, in the moment, you don't know, right? You're catastrophizing. And then, they all become millionaires off that shit. So it's like, oh, okay, never mind. Fantastic Four Jim Lee. Yeah. I like what he was doing with some of the page designs, from what I recall. It's been a little while since I looked at it. But he was so enamored with J. Scott Campbell's style that he was also kind of imitating J. Scott Campbell's page layout philosophy. And it did actually help him become a more dynamic page designer, which he desperately needed. Okay. I mean, hey, with he pushed so hard for the creator ownership. Okay. I don't know how much of it was about, like, independence. I think he had Todd talking in his ear an awful lot about how now we're going to make all the money. And we're going to, make a good show about talking about, creator ownership and all that kind of stuff. But I don't think that's something that Rob really prioritizes that much, except for what he can later bring back and show us evidence that he has a legacy. I think legacy is the most important thing to Rob. And I mean, the creator ownership thing, I think that was more about Todd. And I'd say Eric Larson. Like, Todd was the one who was talking the most in the media about everything. He was the one who was selling this. And, you know, the whole idea of creator ownership was a new one. That was very exciting. But you look at what they actually did, which was to work fast, work enough to make themselves millionaires and then quickly outsource that shit to younger creators. Everybody except Eric Larson. Right? Because Eric Larson, all he wants to do in his life is draw Savage Dragon comics. So God bless him for that. I think Todd's passion was making money. Whatever kind of empire he could create, that was what he wanted to do. Because remember, toys wasn't his first venture. Comics, like the Image thing, wasn't his first venture. When he quit Spider-Man with issue 16, the first thing he wanted to do was try to start a trading card company for baseball cards. He was going to try and fucking compete with fuck, I forget the name of him. Not Donruss, but Upper Deck. There we go. They were the thing at the time. I mean, I guess they're still kind of the thing. And I mean, he was doing all sorts of weird shit with the Spawn mobile. Like he was willing to take whatever kind of empire he could get. It's just that he locked on that toys were an area that were not quite meeting customer demands. I think we were all putting up with the toys that were coming out, but there was a much bigger market for collector figurines, really, which he figured out. I remember reading about a conversation, to get back to Dave Sim for a second, that Dave had when he was over at Todd's place back in the early days of Image. And he basically asked Todd, he's like, okay, so what is the end game here? Like, what's the point of all this? I think trying to ascertain what his motives were. And Todd's response was, well, Steven Spielberg can't live forever. And you think of where Steven Spielberg was in the early 90s, and it's like where he's the biggest name going, yes, but he's also like, he's got his own studios. He's got, and he's also probably got one of the more complicated lives in Hollywood at that point, right? The problem was just as much a businessman as, apparently that was the end goal, he wanted to be a mogul. And McFarlane was just as much a businessman as Liefeld? Absolutely. That's where Liefeld learned it from. When they were still drawing at Marvel, they'd be on the phone and discussing royalty checks. And Todd, tell him you gotta stay on him, because otherwise they'll delay on that shit. Like, what'd you get on the t-shirt deal? What'd you get on the, all that stuff. Well, like, Todd was like Rob's idol when he started out. He kind of latched on to Todd early. And the thing is, Todd, I think, was very business minded in terms of, like, I don't, and was, had the thing of like, I don't get the respect I'm due. And it's like, are you fucking kidding, Todd? Did you see how much Marvel is bending over backwards? But that's the mentality he has to have to motivate himself, right? How come Liefeld or McFarlane doesn't get as much flack as Liefeld? He's not as visible. That's it. Liefeld cannot keep himself from making statements on Twitter, on Facebook, etc. He keeps trying to come back into comics and reestablish himself as like a big dog, but his stuff doesn't really work out as well as he wants it to anyway. And he's got this kind of rabid pack of fans who are constantly big upping him, right? So keep motivating him to do it again. You know, he has to respond to every single thing that's said about him, and tries to belittle anybody who isn't completely, you know, give him a glowing review. I think he's an easy guy to go after because he makes himself such a common target, and because he says so many things that people can respond to as like, what the fuck are you talking about? Todd does get flack in the toy realm, but people want... Okay, but that's standard, like, you know, why don't they make the thing I want, right? And I think the whole the McFarlane Toys thing has probably died down considerably from its heyday in the late 90s, early 2000s, right? That's a bit of a guess, but... Oh, that's not... DC Absolute Batman and Friends right now? Yeah. Well, no, we were talking about that earlier, Mark. Apparently that's from a Whatnot live stream or something like that. And someone asked him if he would draw an Absolute Batman cover. And he went off on it, right? Saying, yeah, I wouldn't do it for $1 million. Saying, you know, what's the point? Why would I, you know, what, to get an 8.5 hour line? Oh, look, I already got one. And he got all pissed off about it. But it really was just down to, I think one of his fans wanted him to draw, wanted to see what an Absolute Batman by Rob Liefeld would look like. And he absolutely lost his shit. Also, I don't think Rob particularly likes that Absolute Batman is the new industry darling, and he's, you know, he kind of tried to make like his new Youngblood #1 has had a similar impact as Absolute Batman. It's like the numbers don't back that up at all, Rob. I'm sorry. Rob did a variant cover for Terminal. Okay, I think a lot of people are doing variant covers for Terminal. That's cool. Was it a man standing with, you know, in a semi-dynamic pose with 3 floating heads around him? Let me check that shit out. There's a guy with a jillion pouches. Okay. Let's see. These all look kind of involved. Oh. No, close up on a head and a couple people jumping in from the side. Okay. Completely blocking out the title too. Good job. That's again, it's such a low effort cover. I guess at least it's not quite his usual, so that's something. Who did this one? Oh, Bill Sienkiewicz. Okay, cool. Okay. Anyway, I think I'm about ready to wrap up for today. I need to rest my voice. I gotta probably record tonight. Oh, let's rant about Liefeld for 75 minutes. Like a She-Hulk series a couple years ago, mainly for covers. I recall Rob doing a cover with She-Hulk and Deadpool. Okay. I mean, yeah, no, he doesn't. He doesn't seem to have a problem doing variant covers. He does. He doesn't put a lot of thought into them. I don't think they're they're usually like there's 2 or 3 templates he uses. But you know, whatever. If people buy them, people are gonna buy them. That's the thing that's gonna happen. It is looking familiar. I like how it's going a little bit more. This is just a slightly better expression. And I was able to get the blood splatter all over the Clerg here. That's all right. And slightly better positioning for Popo here. Maybe. I don't know. He does appear at least to have a neck at this time, so that's nice. Glad you enjoyed my TED Talk. I can't believe I was able to do that without referencing anything. Usually I have, like, you know, my computer nearby, and it's like, okay, well, I better have this to fact check myself. You know, that said, I might have gotten some shit wrong. Nobody corrected me though, I don't think, but, you know. Yeah, no, join me again on Wednesday or next Sunday as we talk undoubtedly more about Liefeld. Oh, I know, I know, Brain. It's well, like this is the shit, because you know I made the deal to do all of the Youngblood #1s, and I went down so many fucking rabbit holes, and now I can reel off the shit, right? Now, like I said, it's fascinating to me anyway. All right, so I'm a peace out. Thank you guys very much for sticking around, and for you know, encouraging me to keep rambling. That was very helpful. All right. I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Guys. All right. Thanks again.